You're listening to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, created to help you succeed in your educational journey. Learn more at baremetalcyber.com, where additional prepcasts, books, and training materials await. Let's get started. Increment goals provide the compass for each delivery time box. Without them, teams may work hard and even deliver many features, yet fail to advance the outcome that matters most. An increment goal defines the single most important objective for the cycle, orienting choices and trade-offs around value rather than activity. This goal is concise yet powerful, giving clarity to the team and stakeholders alike. It is not a laundry list of tasks or a vague aspiration, but a focused statement of what success looks like within the cadence. For example, a team may set an increment goal of reducing onboarding drop-off by 10%, rather than simply improve the app. The goal protects quality by concentrating energy, making it clear when scope must flex, but the outcome remains constant. With an increment goal in place, success becomes observable and alignment far easier to sustain. Good increment goals share three defining qualities. They are specific, outcome-focused, and time-bound. Specificity ensures that the team knows exactly what is being targeted, rather than leaving room for multiple interpretations. Outcome-focused means the goal describes a change in behavior, performance, or risk posture, not just a set of activities completed. Time-bound grounds the ambition within the current increment, making it realistic and observable within the cadence. A strong increment goal might state, enable customers to reset passwords without agent support, reducing related help desk tickets by 20% this sprint. This statement is concrete, focused on impact, and measurable within a defined period. Contrast this with a vague goal like work on password features, which offers no clarity or accountability. By holding goals to these qualities, teams ensure that increments are purposeful and that progress can be judged by tangible change rather than abstract activity. Goal alignment extends the clarity by explicitly connecting the increment's objective to the broader product vision, roadmap themes, and organizational priorities. A goal that is meaningful within the team but disconnected from strategy risks becoming an isolated improvement rather than a strategic advancement. For example, a team may choose improve checkout flow conversion as its increment goal. By aligning it to the roadmap theme of customer growth and the organizational priority of increase online revenue, the relevance becomes explicit and defensible. Alignment also makes trade-offs easier, since stakeholders can see that the goal ties directly into agreed priorities. Without this alignment, goals risk drifting into pet projects or local optimizations that fail to move the larger mission forward. Connecting increment goals to higher-level objectives ensures that daily decisions serve long-term intent, turning each cadence into a visible step toward the strategic horizon. Success signals give substance to increment goals by defining how the team will know whether the goal has been achieved. These signals are observable evidence such as adoption rates, error reductions, throughput improvements, or risk mitigations. For instance, if the goal is to reduce onboarding drop-off, the success signals may include a measurable decrease in abandonment rates at key steps and a corresponding increase in completed registrations. Signals may also address risk, such as a reduction in critical vulnerabilities following a security-focused increment. By articulating signals up front, teams avoid post-hoc guesswork about whether the goal succeeded. Success signals also make review sessions meaningful, as stakeholders can compare results against predefined expectations rather than subjective impressions. They turn goals into hypotheses with measurable outcomes, reinforcing a culture of evidence. In this way, success signals transform abstract intent into tangible checkpoints that guide and validate delivery. Acceptance linkage ensures that the stories and tasks selected for the increment visibly contribute to the goal's success signals. Without this linkage, teams risk filling their backlog with work that is tangential or unrelated to the stated objective. Acceptance linkage acts like a thread that ties every chosen slice back to the overarching purpose. For example, if the goal is to improve password reset efficiency, stories such as enable self-service password reset or add telemetry to track reset attempts are clearly aligned, while unrelated enhancements should wait. This linkage gives the team confidence that their efforts accumulate toward the intended outcome. It also strengthens communication with stakeholders, who can see exactly how individual pieces of work contribute to the bigger picture. Acceptance linkage ensures coherence, preventing dilution of focus and reinforcing that increment goals are not abstract slogans but operational commitments. Non-functional inclusion reminds teams that increment goals are not solely about visible features. Sometimes the most important objectives relate to qualities like reliability, security, accessibility, or operability. These attributes may not excite end users directly, but they underpin trust and long-term success. For instance, an increment goal might be to achieve a 5 nines uptime guarantee for critical services, or implement encryption standards required for compliance. These goals are just as outcome-driven as user-facing features because they reduce risk and improve resilience. Including non-functional priorities as increment goals elevates them to first-class status, ensuring they are not treated as secondary or deferred until crisis strikes. When these attributes are critical to the organization's risk posture or reputation, aligning increments around them demonstrates maturity and foresight. It also reassures stakeholders that the team is advancing not only immediate functionality, but also systemic trustworthiness. Assumptions and risks form a critical part of increment goals because every objective carries uncertainty. By listing these alongside the goal, teams make their working hypotheses explicit and prepare mitigation strategies. For example, a goal to reduce customer support tickets may assume that users will adopt a new self-service tool, with the risk that adoption lags without proper communication. Planning probes like early telemetry or A/B testing helps validate these assumptions quickly. Acknowledging risks up front also reduces surprise, making it easier to adjust scope or approach mid-cycle if evidence challenges the assumptions. By embedding risks into the goal statement, teams transform them from hidden liabilities into managed factors. This proactive framing strengthens alignment by ensuring that increments are pursued with eyes open, balancing ambition with realism. It also creates a culture where uncertainty is addressed constructively rather than ignored until it becomes a problem. Dependency awareness supports increment goals by clarifying what external conditions must hold for the objective to succeed. Many goals rely on upstream interfaces, downstream consumers, or external decisions. For instance, an increment goal to launch a new payment option may depend on legal approval of terms and timely vendor certification. By recording these dependencies, the team makes feasibility transparent and prepares contingency plans. This practice prevents mid-cycle surprises where work stalls because a critical dependency was overlooked. Dependency awareness also facilitates coordination across teams, as shared dependencies are flagged early. By embedding this awareness into goal setting, increments are framed realistically, acknowledging that delivery lives within a network of interconnected systems and stakeholders. This clarity strengthens trust, since stakeholders understand not only the goal itself, but also the conditions that must be met for it to succeed. Ownership and roles define accountability for increment goals. A well-crafted goal may still drift without clear stewardship. Ownership specifies who is responsible for shepherding the goal, making trade-off decisions, and validating success evidence. This does not mean one person does all the work, but rather that they serve as the focal point for coherence. For example, a product owner might steward the goal, while technical leads and testers play defined roles in ensuring feasibility and validation. Clarifying roles prevents ambiguity, where no one feels accountable and alignment fragments. It also ensures that stakeholders know whom to engage for updates or decisions. By defining ownership and roles, increment goals gain stability and focus. The team rallies around shared responsibility, but with clear lines of authority for key decisions. This structure reduces drift and reinforces alignment, turning goals into living commitments rather than vague aspirations. Communication expectations bring stakeholders into the alignment process by specifying what they will hear, when, and in what form. Increment goals are not just internal compasses, they are external promises of focus. To sustain trust, stakeholders must be kept informed through structured updates. For example, communication expectations might include a kickoff briefing to explain the goal, weekly updates on progress against success signals, and a demo at the end of the time box. These touchpoints ensure transparency and prevent misalignment from festering silently. They also empower stakeholders to provide feedback in time to influence decisions rather than after the fact. By embedding communication expectations into increment goals, teams create predictability in engagement. This strengthens alignment by making stakeholders co-travelers in the journey rather than passive observers. Communication becomes a proactive design, not a reactive scramble, reinforcing trust and shared ownership. Negotiated scope frames how flexibility will be handled if capacity tightens or conditions change mid-window. Instead of treating scope as fixed, teams outline ranked must, should, could options that all align with the increment goal. This ranking protects the core objective, even if less critical work must be dropped. For example, if the goal is to enable self-service password resets, the must might be the basic reset function. The should could include mobile integration, and the could might cover enhanced customization. This structure ensures that trade-offs can be made quickly without losing sight of the central outcome. Negotiated scope prevents the panic of last-minute cuts by defining flex up front. It also reassures stakeholders that capacity challenges will be managed responsibly. By embedding flexibility into goal design, teams maintain focus on outcomes even under constraint, reinforcing alignment with the true objective. Telemetry readiness ensures that success signals are measurable in practice, not just aspirational. Without telemetry, teams may finish an increment unsure whether the goal was achieved. For example, a goal to reduce checkout abandonment requires instrumentation that captures drop-off rates, error logs, and user pathways. By preparing events, dashboards, and logs in advance, teams ensure that evidence is available when needed. Telemetry readiness also enables early trend detection, allowing mid-cycle adjustments if signals diverge from expectations. This practice embeds measurement into delivery rather than bolting it on afterward. It reinforces the principle that goals must be testable hypotheses, not vague aspirations. With telemetry in place, increment reviews become data-driven, providing stakeholders with clear evidence of success or shortfall. This rigor strengthens trust and learning, turning every increment into a measurable step forward rather than a leap of faith. Compliance and ethics guardrails remind teams that goals must be pursued within boundaries of privacy, safety, and legal obligations. An increment that delivers short-term value but violates ethical or regulatory standards undermines trust and creates long-term risk. For example, a goal to increase user engagement must still respect data privacy laws and avoid manipulative design patterns. By noting these constraints up front, teams ensure that alignment includes not only strategic objectives but also societal and legal responsibilities. Compliance guardrails protect the organization from costly failures, while ethical boundaries maintain credibility with users and stakeholders. Embedding these considerations into increment goals acknowledges that value cannot come at any cost. It must be delivered responsibly, balancing ambition with integrity. This framing elevates compliance and ethics from afterthoughts to integral dimensions of alignment, ensuring that increments strengthen both outcomes and trust. Anti-patterns in increment goals reveal common traps that undermine alignment. One is vagueness goals stated so broadly that they cannot guide daily decisions, such as improve the system. Another is multiplicity, where conflicting objectives are crammed into one increment, diluting focus and confusing trade-offs. A third is activity-driven goals that describe what the team will do rather than what will change, such as, quote, complete testing tasks instead of reduce defect escape rate. These anti-patterns may give the illusion of planning but fail to provide direction or evidence. They lead to increments filled with activity but empty of impact. Recognizing these pitfalls helps teams maintain discipline in goal setting. Strong increment goals resist these traps by being clear, singular, outcome-driven and measurable. Avoiding anti-patterns ensures that goals serve their intended purpose, focusing effort on delivering meaningful progress that can be observed and validated. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. The goal-setting workflow defines when and how the team drafts, reviews, and finalizes the increment goal before selecting work. This workflow usually begins in backlog refinement or planning sessions, where strategic themes and recent evidence are considered. The team collaborates to shape a candidate goal, ensuring it is outcome-focused and realistic for the time box. Once drafted, it is reviewed with stakeholders for clarity and alignment. Only after this consensus is reached does the team proceed to select backlog items. The workflow is iterative but bounded. There is space for discussion, but the cycle ends with one clear statement before work starts. This discipline prevents drifting into increments without focus, or trying to retrofit goals afterward. By embedding a structured workflow, teams ensure that every cycle starts with shared intent, making alignment proactive and deliberate rather than reactive. A goal statement template provides consistency and durability in how increment goals are captured. The template usually includes context, objective, success signals, constraints, and assumptions in one concise paragraph. For example, in this increment, our goal is to reduce password reset-related help desk tickets by 20% by enabling self-service reset, assuming user adoption will be driven by clear in-app prompts and within the guardrail of meeting security compliance standards. This single paragraph becomes a durable artifact that can be referenced throughout the cycle. It prevents goals from being scattered across emails or meetings, and ensures that everyone is working from the same definition. Templates also make goals auditable and comparable over time, supporting organizational learning. The structure disciplines teams to include all necessary elements without drifting into vague aspirations. A strong goal statement becomes a rallying point, reminding everyone of what matters most in this cycle. Backlog selection is guided by the increment goal, ensuring that chosen stories and tasks advance the stated objective. Instead of pulling in a random assortment of backlog items, the team curates thin, coherent slices that directly contribute to the outcome. Optional items may also be identified, ready to fill capacity if time allows, but always aligned to the same goal. For example, if the goal is to improve checkout success, core stories might include streamlined form design and real-time validation, while optional items might cover enhancements like mobile layout refinements. This approach creates coherence within the increment, ensuring that work accumulates meaningfully. It also prevents the common mistake of overloading sprints with unrelated items, which dilutes focus. Backlog selection thus becomes a strategic act, aligning tactical delivery with outcome intent. It ties daily work to the broader vision, ensuring that every completed slice strengthens the goal. Mid-cycle checks provide a reality check on whether the increment goal remains achievable. Rather than waiting until the demo, the team pauses at pre-agreed points to review progress against success signals. If thresholds appear unlikely to be met, adjustments can be triggered. For example, if adoption metrics lag, the team may decide to increase visibility of a new feature or pivot to a simplified version. Mid-cycle checks ensure that uncertainty and drift are caught early, not after the fact. They also strengthen accountability, as progress is monitored continuously. Importantly, these checks focus on outcomes, not just task completion. A story may be marked done, but if evidence suggests the outcome is still at risk, the team adjusts. By embedding mid-cycle checks, increments become adaptive experiments rather than rigid commitments, maintaining alignment under changing conditions and preserving credibility with stakeholders. Trade-off rules define what aspects of the plan can flex without undermining quality, ethics, or safety. These rules provide clarity in the moment of decision, reducing debate when scope pressure arises. For instance, scope and sequencing may be flexible, but quality standards or privacy requirements are not negotiable. A team might agree that optional stories can be dropped or reordered, but security testing must remain intact. By making these boundaries explicit, trade-off rules protect integrity while enabling adaptability. They also prevent decision paralysis during pressure, since the framework for choices has been pre-negotiated. Stakeholders gain confidence that alignment is preserved even when compromises are necessary. Trade-off rules thus create stability without rigidity, ensuring that the increment goal remains achievable while respecting non-negotiable guardrails. This clarity strengthens trust and reduces conflict, especially in fast-moving or high-pressure environments where priorities can shift unexpectedly. An evidence plan outlines how success will be verified during the review and monitored after release. This plan specifies which metrics will be captured, how data will be collected, and how signals will be interpreted. For example, if the goal is to reduce onboarding drop-off, the evidence plan might include funnel analysis, log events at each step, and surveys for new users. The plan also clarifies baselines, so improvements can be measured against starting points. By preparing the evidence plan up front, teams avoid scrambling for proof later or relying on subjective impressions. It also makes reviews more meaningful, as stakeholders see concrete evidence tied directly to the goal. An evidence plan reflects the principle that alignment must be measurable, not just aspirational. It ensures that every increment is treated as a testable hypothesis, with structured observation built into the delivery process. Contingency and rollback criteria prepare the team for the possibility that the goal path creates unacceptable risk or misses critical signals. These criteria specify safe exit conditions and predefined actions. For example, if a new authentication method causes error rates above a certain threshold, the team may roll back to the previous version. Similarly, if adoption is far below expectations after initial release, the team may pause further rollout until root causes are investigated. By defining contingencies up front, teams avoid reactive panic under pressure. This practice also reassures stakeholders that risks are being managed responsibly. Rollback criteria preserve trust by demonstrating that the organization prioritizes safety and quality over pushing increments at all costs. Contingency planning acknowledges uncertainty as a normal part of innovation and prepares constructive responses, ensuring that alignment remains intact even when outcomes diverge from expectations. Cross-team alignment is often necessary when increment goals span multiple groups or systems. Achieving integration points, environment availability, and shared decisions requires coordination. For example, a goal to enable single sign-on may require one team to build the interface, another to handle security protocols, and a third to update customer portals. Without cross-team alignment, dependencies can derail progress. Coordination ensures that sequencing is realistic, interfaces are compatible, and resources are available. This practice also fosters shared accountability across teams, making the increment goal a joint commitment rather than a siloed ambition. Cross-team alignment strengthens alignment at scale, ensuring that increments advance not only local objectives but also organizational priorities. It transforms complex multi-team work from a fragile endeavor into a coordinated effort where integration risks are managed deliberately. Partner and vendor coordination extends alignment beyond internal boundaries. Many increment goals rely on external providers for interfaces, services, or regulatory approvals. For example, launching a new payment option may require vendor certification and partner readiness. Coordination establishes expectations for timelines, deliverables, and acceptance evidence. By engaging partners early and explicitly tying their contributions to the increment goal, teams reduce surprises and create accountability. Vendor coordination also ensures that external dependencies are aligned with internal cadence, preventing mismatches that delay outcomes. This outward-facing alignment is often overlooked but critical for organizations that operate in complex ecosystems. By embedding partner coordination into goal setting, increments become more resilient and realistic. External stakeholders are treated as part of the alignment system, not as afterthoughts. Decision records capture key choices made during the increment and link them back to the goal and its success signals. These records provide transparency and audibility, showing why certain paths were chosen and what trade-offs were accepted. For example, a decision to prioritize desktop optimization over mobile may be recorded with rationale tied to the increment goal of improving checkout conversion. By maintaining decision records, teams prevent loss of context and reduce the chance of revisiting old debates. Records also strengthen accountability, as stakeholders can trace outcomes back to their supporting logic. This practice turns increments into documented experiments, where the rationale for alignment choices is preserved for learning. Decision records make alignment visible, ensuring that choices remain consistent with goals and are open to scrutiny when needed. Review focus ensures that increment reviews evaluate explicitly against the goal rather than defaulting to a feature showcase. The review session asks, did we achieve the outcome defined by the goal? Evidence is presented in terms of success signals, adoption rates, or risk reductions. Achieved outcomes are celebrated, while remaining risks or follow-ups are identified honestly. This focus transforms reviews into accountability moments, where alignment is tested transparently. For example, a goal to reduce error rates should show before and after metrics, not just a demonstration of completed code. By making the goal central to review, teams reinforce discipline and credibility. Reviews become checkpoints for alignment, ensuring that increments are not judged on activity, but on impact. This focus sharpens stakeholder trust and creates a feedback loop where strategy and delivery continuously inform one another. Learning capture distills insights from each increment that improve future goal setting. Teams reflect on heuristics about sizing, dependencies, or signal quality. For example, they may discover that telemetry setup required more time than expected, prompting earlier preparation in future cycles. Or they may learn that success signals were too narrow, missing secondary effects worth tracking. Capturing these lessons prevents repetition of mistakes and strengthens organizational memory. Learning capture also reinforces the experimental nature of increments. Each goal is not only about achieving outcomes but also about improving the process of alignment. By documenting lessons, teams build a repository of practices that improve predictability and effectiveness over time. This meta-learning layer transforms alignment from a tactical act into a continuous improvement discipline. Effectiveness metrics measure whether increment goal practices themselves are working. Metrics such as goal hit rate, variance between planned and actual signals, and downstream impact on outcomes provide evidence of health. For instance, if most goals consistently achieve their targets with minimal variance, the process is robust. If goals frequently miss signals, adjustments may be needed in goal design or execution. Effectiveness metrics prevent complacency, ensuring that alignment practices evolve with experience. They also provide leaders with confidence that increment goals are not ceremonial but operationally meaningful. By monitoring these metrics, organizations validate the value of alignment discipline itself. This meta-measurement reinforces that even practices must be tested and adapted, keeping the system honest and evidence-based. Sustainability practices protect pace by limiting concurrent goals and reserving capacity for improvement and risk work. Teams that chase multiple objectives simultaneously risk spreading too thin and achieving none effectively. By focusing on one increment goal at a time, teams concentrate effort and protect quality. Reserving capacity for improvement work, such as technical debt reduction or security testing, ensures that long-term health is not sacrificed for short-term outcomes. This balance prevents burnout and maintains credibility. Sustainability in goal setting demonstrates that alignment is not only about achieving today's targets, but also about protecting tomorrow's capacity. It embeds resilience into the system, ensuring that alignment is durable under real-world conditions. By practicing sustainability, teams prove that alignment and agility can coexist without exhausting people or compromising quality. In conclusion, increment goals transform planning from task lists into purposeful objectives. Part 2 has shown how structured workflows, templates, backlog selection, and mid-cycle checks bring clarity and adaptability. Trade-off rules, evidence plans, and contingency criteria manage uncertainty responsibly. Cross-team and partner coordination extend alignment across boundaries, while decision records and review focus provide transparency and accountability. Learning capture and effectiveness metrics close the loop, ensuring continuous improvement, and sustainability practices protect long-term pace. Together, these practices ensure that each increment is not just busy work, but measurable progress toward outcomes that matter. Increment goals, when defined and communicated with discipline, become the heartbeat of alignment, turning cycles of activity into cycles of impact. Thanks for tuning in to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, your trusted source for cybersecurity news and insights. Remember to subscribe at baremetalcyber.com so you never miss an update. And visit cyberauthor.me for best-selling cybersecurity books that equip you with expert knowledge. Until next time, stay secure and stay vigilant.